Hello and welcome to another episode of Daily Market Mastery with me on this rainy Monday. I hope you all had a great weekend. As always, before we jump into things, let's get the usual disclaimer out of the way first. Everything that I share with you in this live stream / video is my personal opinion and in no way financial or professional advice of any kind. You should always do your own research, consult certified professionals, draw your own conclusions, and make your own decisions. And besides that, don't forget all the tools that I'm using. So the broker, the charting software, the strategy I'm following, and everything else is linked in the video description down below. And the one thing I always recommend if you're tuning in for the first time is don't forget, check out the Elliott Wave principle. If you use the link in the video description down below, you can actually read the book online for free. Or once you are convinced that it's actually a great strategy to follow, you might consider getting a physical copy as well, like I did. Other than that, what else is there to say? Yeah, don't forget, as always, like, subscribe, enable notifications so you don't miss out on future episodes. And then before we jump into things, I'll just quickly have to fix the webcam settings because apparently there we have a small issue with the, there we go, with the, what is it called actually, with the power line frequency anti-flicker setting. So there we go. So that's now set. Now we can jump. No, did I set it back now? 1 second. No, it should be fine now. Yeah. So just not in the preview. So if we jump back now here and no, it's still flickering here. Why is it still flickering here? So just 1 more second. Configure video. If I do that, and it's flickering. If I do that, it's not flickering. Okay, I'm modifying the wrong webcam. That's the reason there. That's the one I have to modify. No, not crossbar, configure video. That's the one. And there we go. So that, and back to that view, studio mode. Yes, so that's much better. Yeah, anyway, and we can jump into it. We still have 2 minutes till market open. We have a slightly red start into the day. Nothing too much to worry about. This week we have a total of 5 call options against our 501 GameStop shares that are going to expire. We got them assigned through $30 put options. Our lowest call option is at the $30 strike price. Oh, get away. Okay, now. So is it that $30 strike price and other side the $35 strike price? So if there is a rally up, not only will we get the shares called away and basically pocket the premiums that we earned or that we received for writing the call options over the last couple of weeks since we got the shares assigned. But if we actually finish this week above 35, then we'd also pocket an extra $1,000 in profit. Now with that, actually, let's jump into Motive Wave, zoom out a little bit to 8 hours, and I'm going to have a sip of my coffee, and then we're going to get started with GameStop. So actually, we're going to have to zoom out a little bit more. So we had this corrective pattern, and as I mentioned in live streams during the last couple of weeks, either that is actually the end of the corrective pattern, or this is an ABC move where we will get another 5-wave push down potentially into this area. Now I'm having trouble labeling this entire corrective movement. That is because corrective movements are the complex part of Elliott Wave Theory. And so therefore, while my, let's call it simplified labeling here is the assumption that this might be a big A, B, C corrective pattern, which still would require another push down, it's also possible, or maybe even likely, that this is a combination of corrective patterns. And I said we already reached our low here, where we technically almost bounced at the 61.8 retracement level. Not as nicely as we usually would do, where the body of the candle would stay above and only the wick would go below, but still it would fit. Again, however, I'm still keeping an open mind that there may be another push down if we look at the daily chart. Now, if we work our way further in, we can see that we potentially have our wave A or 1. So if we're considering that we might get another push down, then this would need to be A, B, C, and then we would need to get our wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 further down, develop like this. However, if we look at that first part, that's a perfectly reasonable assumption because we almost have this wave movement here is almost perfect, 100% in terms of price movement compared to this one, which would make it a nice looking and almost perfect ABC pattern. However, if we look closer and we look on a 4-hour chart, we can see not only do we have a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movement up here, but then this here is a corrective ABC move that turns around almost exactly at the 100% expansion mark, making this a perfect corrective move. And if we even if we ignore this part here so far, it points toward this being an impulsive wave, a corrective wave, followed by another impulsive wave. So more likely than not, we actually had our low already here and are now in an upwards movement where this is a big wave 1, 2, and this is now wave 1, 2, which means we're in a big third wave, and within that third wave we are also in the third wave, where we again see even here with the naked eye potentially wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 should be developing, which means there might be a little bit upwards movement for wave 5, followed by a small drop for another wave 2, and we will be in the third wave of a third wave of a third wave, which means it should be followed by strong upwards movement from there. Now, if we consider the time frames and what we are looking at right now, Friday is the 13th, so we may or may not get to see that strong upwards movement already this week or then latest next week, unless we get a very, very drawn out corrective pattern in between, which I don't assume, because again, if we're in the third wave of a third wave, everything should point towards stronger upwards movements. Markets are opening, already open for 2 minutes. We now get our upwards movement. Let's dive a little bit closer here and actually put an extension here. Technically, this here is our wave 1, 2, and which means we haven't finished the third wave here yet either. We don't really bounce on the 1618 extension. We shoot too far through to count this as a bounce, which means potentially this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're currently in the progress of finishing 1, 2 and this third wave. So we should reach the $24.70 to $25 mark in the next couple of hours actually, and then get from there another corrective wave and another push up for finishing this 5-wave movement, which again will just be finishing the third wave that we get from this 1, 2. So there should be a couple very, very bullish days ahead for GameStop, which is obviously good for our portfolio. Now, considering that the overall pattern most likely now is 1, 2, 3 in progress, the best case scenario for my portfolio would right now actually be if this week we finish below 30 or close to 30, so the shares do not get called away. And then I can sell higher, I can write higher strike price call options for next week. And then the shares should get called away, plus we pocket an extra couple hundred or so in premium. Now, I also hold GameStop shares outside of Interactive Broker in my computer share account directly registered. Those are my long-term investments. Whatever I hold in here in this portfolio is just my short-term options trading position. Yeah, so much about GameStop. Now, the whole market appears to be green today. A rare occasion with very, very few exceptions. And where do we start outside of GameStop? Let's work our way from the top. Barnes & Noble Education. Okay, there is nothing to add to what I said in the Friday or Thursday episode. So the last episode we had last week. So if you're curious about Barnes & Noble Education, check out that episode. We're still waiting for further movement. Faraday Future. Okay, we're getting another push down here. I'm not a huge fan of that. It looks like we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 might be here, but then no, so 5 would need to be here. And we're currently in the corrective pattern downwards. It's also possible, let's actually zoom out that we see the bigger picture. Yeah, so we have the assumption that this is basically wave 1. And then we have A, B, C for wave 2. That goes a little bit further than what we usually would expect in terms of retracement, but not too far. And potentially, with a little bit of luck, we're actually in the progress of developing the next 5-wave impulse up. We would have to worry about being wrong if we break below $2.61. Until that happens, we, however, can simply enjoy the ride and just keep an eye on the development. So the first level that we don't want to break is actually the $3.36, because it looks like this is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means we would expect an ABC corrective pattern that then takes us further. So waves following upwards. If we break the 336 here, then that's not the case, and then this has to be in some form a corrective pattern, and we're actually going to get further down here. Yeah, so that's that. Green wave, we're waiting for something, you know, the picture of the drawn figure with the stick that says do something. Yeah, that's what we're waiting for here. Immersion, do we get a chart? Yes, we get. They will have to zoom out as well. Yeah, so here we are right now at 100% expansion level. So for making it possible that we actually finish the corrective pattern down here, we will see if we stay above the 845 mark, then there is a decent chance that from here we'll get 5 waves up again. That should then take us to a new high, which would mean a potential, I don't know, 100% increase from where we are right now over the next couple of weeks / months. So by the end of the year. Rough guess, so guessing the timing or guesstimate is not always that easy. No, now at 27 cents. So again, I still expect it to basically develop a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 push that takes us lower here. And then we actually expect another upwards movement and another downwards movement. And then that would be the point where we consider jumping into that position. That thing here, we don't need anymore. That thing here, we don't need anymore. And technically what we need, we also don't need that. That we still need, and what we actually need on the other side is this one here, because I assume that this here is wave 1, 2, and we're currently in a wave 3. So, and if that third wave here would be in some form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for wave 4, I'm probably not finished here. But yeah, so I expect that we get into that area for the third wave, then we get a fourth wave, and then we get a fifth wave. So I expect more downside here. Cause, do we have a valid labeling here? Yes. So we potentially finished an ABC corrective pattern at a little bit below the minimum target for that ABC pattern. And with some luck, again, we might here also be in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impulsive pattern. I'll have to keep an eye on it. That might then finish a potential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move. The alternative is that this is a big ABC move, and we're right now looking at the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move downwards. Time will tell. We're just gonna see how it plays out. Maxen, we got out of that one. We're still waiting for it to actually finish a potential pattern. We also have targets that point towards further downwards movement. Neo reached a wave 3 target, the first one, but if we look with the naked eye, we can also see 1, 2, and then 3 potentially still in progress. And then even within that third wave, we can see with the naked eye 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we should get another push up, followed by a small push down, push up to finish 1, 2, 3. And then we'll get a correction, then we'll get another push up. So Neo should actually, if we zoom out a little bit, has a decent chance that this will actually turn into either A, B, C, in which case we would expect to reach around $6 roughly. Before we continue a downwards journey, or this is actually the bottom, and this is basically wave 1, wave 2, and then wave 3 in progress. We see the wave 3 targets are out of reach at $12 to $14, and then in that third wave, it looks like we are in wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 still in progress, which probably might terminate in this area here, considering that these sub patterns haven't finished yet, and we are already close to the 2618 extension level. So that's going to be interesting to follow along as well. And like Neo, we only have, I think, we have a handful of shares, so not too much. We'll see how that pays off. And Novavax, let's see, do we get some? So we're still, the current assumption is that basically we are having our end of wave 4 here, and wave 1, wave 2, wave 1, wave 2, and should now get strong upwards movement. So within the next couple of days, we will see if that assumption is correct, and we'll get a strong break to the top, or if that correction of this labeling is invalid, I made a mistake somewhere, and we'll get a break to the bottom. Here I only hold one long-term call or leaps, and it's not really leaps, it's expiring in January, so a couple months from now. Call option at the $20 strike price, which if I'm right will print 10 to 1. If I'm wrong, I lose $90. So like the profit is not going to be life-changing, but the ratio, so risk reward ratio is quite great, and the pattern is actually quite nice if we zoom out a little bit. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4, and we should now be in wave 5. We got in here on that upwards movement with the option. So but yeah, so we still have till here for it to play out, and by then we should already see it playing out or not. Time will tell. So let's zoom in again. We're waiting for 8 hours. We're waiting basically for the breakout here. That should, with some luck, happen relatively soon, or I should be proven wrong relatively soon. Nvidia also starting green into the week. We're actually waiting for the potential bottom here. Now we are at the 61.8% retracement level again of this bigger move, which is irrelevant at this point, so we can get rid of it. And for this move, we are already at the 78.6 retracement level. I have to admit, with the naked eye on this scale, this looks potentially like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means we would get a small move up followed by another push down, which would be a little bit problematic because then this here would potentially be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a diagonal. Which means then Nvidia would be in trouble and we would go further down. Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on this. I'm still more on the bullish side, considering how nicely this pattern fits the bill for an ABC pattern and how less nicely it fits the bill for an impulse for a 1, 2, 3. However, there is the possibility that this will play out as 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then our target for 5 would be if we place a line here and then extend it, and then the fifth wave would get close to that line, which would be quite low. So it would probably mean another 50% drop or so. So again, I'm not considering that the likely scenario. Hi, Olga. Sorry, I didn't see your message earlier. Hope you had a great weekend. So I'm not considering that the likely scenario, but it's still in the cards. Park hotels, do we get a chart? Yes, we do. We don't have a position anymore. I don't know when or where we got out of it. I think we don't have a position anymore in PK. Yeah, so yeah, we don't. But yeah, they are right now also a bullish pattern in my opinion, at least temporary. So either this is an impulse followed by an A, B, C, or another corrective pattern followed by the next impulse. Or this is a big corrective pattern, which is A, B, C, and then the minimum target, as we see, would still be 100% away from the current price level. I see, then great. Then I didn't miss your message. So yeah, then you're late. Should chastise you, yeah. No, just kidding. Yeah, so either way, I think in Park Hotels, there's still upwards movement. If I'm wrong, it would play out as, I don't know, this would need to play out as ABC and we would go down from here. So theoretically, stop loss could be at 10.65 if you were to trade that. And yeah, and there I said should be room upwards. And if we go above 30, that would be the area where I would consider setting a trailing stop loss. So risk reward would be, what's that then? 30%, not even 30% risk, 100% upside. So also not too bad. SMCI. We are now developing the last fifth wave move as we expected. So if you check out some of my, I think last Thursday or last Wednesday, when Hindenburg Research published their paper about their short thesis because of, let's call it, creative accounting, we did the first analysis. And since then, in the episodes after that, I covered it a little bit pretty much every day. So I think I said we still have a little bit room down here, although we are at the 161.8 extension for making it a big ABC pattern. So it's already the area where we could consider going long potentially to, yeah, under the assumption that we have a move up and now we have A, B, C, where we again, only this fifth subwave or that last subwave here from the looks of it might not be fully finished yet and get a little bit more down. And then we should potentially get another move upwards, which would pay off hugely. Might actually, but the prices will probably be insane. SMCI. If we look into leaps, do we get prices? Hello? Yeah, love it when nothing's loading, okay. Do we get prices for GameStop? Yes, there we go. And for SMCI, let's try again. Yes, and if we now go to January 26, yeah, so yeah, it would be fairly expensive to bet on that unless we bet on a very, very high increase. But yeah, like we would have, yeah, like Would have to check then later with option strat if it's worth it or not, but it's quite a lot of capital tied up for a long-term play. And there is also the possibility that this is actually 1, 2, and this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the company actually goes further down. But as I said, from the looks of it and how nicely the pattern behaves, I think it's the more likely pattern right now that we finish the corrective pattern around here, and from here we'll go further up, which means there would still be a potential drop of what's that, 25%. But the upside, on the other hand, yeah, I mean, risk-reward ratio, to be fair, is not that great compared to other things that we looked at, because if we have the 25% risk here, but on the other side, our upside would be at best like 300% or so over the next couple of, like over the next 2 years, for example, then it's not really the best move. SunPower, yeah, also we're waiting for the do something, so we're just gonna hold this till the bitter end or till it has some positive news, which is like more like hope or praying than based on facts. UBS, actually we haven't looked at that in a while. Oh, that's actually going to be interesting. We had a decent trade in UBS, I think, back here in that move, or it was back here. I don't remember. It's been a while, yeah. Or maybe it was even further back. No, maybe I think it was back here in that area already. Yeah. Let's zoom out a little bit. I mean, with the naked eye, considering that we broke this level here, it's already clear that we're not only correcting this move here, but we're correcting the bigger move here, which is at least this one, or even a bigger move. And if we zoom in a little bit, there is the chance that we finished a big ABC pattern. We're going to double check that. Although we went below the 161.8 expansion level, which rarely happens for a wave C. It's not unheard of, but it rarely happens. That one we don't need anymore. And there's the other chance that, where are you coming from? You're coming from here. That actually turns out to be more likely right now. If we look, we bounce from the 238.2 extension level, that this might be wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and we're right now seeing wave 5 develop to the bottom. So, which would mean another 30% downside here. And then we would get an upwards move, and then we would get a stronger downwards move. So either for a very, very big ABC corrective pattern or for a 5-wave impulse downwards. So if we look at a weekly chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 would already take us till here, A, B, C, and then the next 5 waves should take us till here. Again, I mean, it looks like a big move, but if we think of it in percentages, again, we have other assets that we looked at that just have better risk-reward ratios. But I think overall, there's going to be more downside here. Probably if we look here, the 38.2 would also align with this corrective area here. Yeah, which fits kind of as a target area. So it's, yeah, like, I mean, yeah, it's not even 50%, but it's still a lot further downwards movement. That, from the looks of it, is the more likely situation here, because again, we went quite far through the 161.8 expansion level for this to be just an ABC corrective pattern. Although we also have to say on the upwards movement, we entered the territory of the potential of what's potentially wave 2. Hi Akashi, great to have you here. How is your starting to the week going? And so if that's the case, or which would make this a diagonal, and diagonals are just not that frequent. So like, I don't know, I'm still for the bearish option or labeling here, but it's still possible that this was the entire ABC correction. This is the next wave 1, 2, and we got 3, 4, 5. So if one would go short, probably stop loss should be here at 26.77. So it's not really that far away, less than 10% risk, with, like I said, 50% reward potentially. But again, we have other things with better risk reward ratio. And if we look at SPY, there we are still trying to figure out where are you coming from? There, yeah. If we now finally reached our bottom, it's a little hard. We don't really see a nice ABC pattern here. We haven't reached into the area here of what we assume is wave 1, 2. So that's at least not convincing, but reassuring. So there's still a chance. So I guess we'll see it this week. If we get a strong movement up, then this is indeed 1, 2, 3, 4, and wave 5. And wave 5 should take us into the area of 560 to 575 in this case. Otherwise, yeah, the moment we break into the 531.59 area, we would have to consider that indeed this is, yeah, some pattern that just doesn't follow the rules, and it would be A, B, C with a super extended wave C. Same issue basically like with, now what did we just look at? UBS, no, SMCI. So same issue with UBS and with both actually, yeah, like double checking on my short-term memory, yeah. So yeah, with UBS, yeah. SPY, there we go, yeah. So the issue is at hand, if that would be wave A, wave A, wave B, and wave C, we see that the maximum target that we usually would reach would actually have been here, and we exceeded that a little bit by like 2%. And that just, in my experience, rarely happens. So my assumption is that it's more likely that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and wave 5 to come. Now, NASDAQ there, the micro NASDAQ. Same thing. So although here we now entered this territory, so it would need to be a diagonal. Yeah, it's tricky, but from the looks of it, it could be A, B, and wave C. And we would now be in wave 5. Again, we would see it in the next couple of days as a confirmation in quotes. If we look here, let's check how that checks out as wave A, B, C. Yeah, so that's still within the parameters. We would start to worry if we break below 18,324, because then here that movement would be further than what we expect of a potential wave C. I can imagine that this might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So which also means there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in there. So A, B, C. So yeah, I think most likely upwards movement for the next couple of days. Stop loss would need to be here at the low at 17,745. And take profit would then be between 17,800 and 20,727. And with that, I think we rushed through everything and covered everything for today. I'm going to circle back to GameStop a little bit. Looks like we're still having a corrective pattern play out. So if we zoom in a little bit closer, let's see how close we can get without it getting too cluttered. It could be, no, there we go lower. So that should be in some form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a truncated fifth wave. And then we have A, B, C, and then we should theoretically develop the next upwards movement, or we have a combinative corrective pattern. It's also possible that we move a little bit more sideways and slightly down over the next couple of hours, maybe into tomorrow. But from the overall pattern that we're seeing here, I think the most likely thing is that we'll get another push up for finishing at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but more likely that subwave hasn't finished yet. So again, there should be multiple upwards movements coming. Again, maybe not this week. Maybe this week we only make a little bit of upwards room, but next week it should then actually yeah, go further up. Even if we did not finish the entire correction, this here is quite clearly, at least to me, it looks quite clearly like a 5-wave move. So we should have, in the worst case, A, B, C. So still upside here for wave C before we would go further down. But if we look at the bigger picture, like we did in the beginning of the stream, I think there is really, really only upside right now with maybe short-term decline. Again, however, there is the alternative labeling that, however, right now is very, very unlikely considering how this part here unfolded, that we still get another push down here. So yeah, like I think, I don't know, if I would have to give it odds, I would say, I don't know, 80-20, 80% chance that a pattern will be that we'll get the further push up here. So to make this 1, 2, 3, 3 would be up here somewhere, 4 or 5, to finish up this third wave, that big one, that is 1, 2, 3, and 20% chance that this was A, B, C, and we're currently seeing some weird 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a push down before we actually start our journey further up. And yeah, with that, I think, as I said, we'll cover everything. So we're going to call it a day and go back to my other items on my to-do list. I hope you were able to take something away or at least get a second perspective on some of your assessments. Olga, Akashi, thank you for stopping by and for at least saying hello in the chat. Everyone else that lurked, also thanks for stopping by. Again, like, don't forget, like, subscribe, enable notifications so you don't miss out on the next episodes that are usually around 5 minutes before market open. And again, wish you all a successful trading weekend and see you all tomorrow. Again, 5 minutes roughly before market open, and another episode of Daily Market Mastery. Till then, bye-bye.